Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. And today you will learn how to deal with any life problem. That might seem like a big promise to you, but I assure you this principle will enable you to do exactly that. It's helped me change my life profoundly. It has for thousands of our clients, and it will for you too. So we have these lives every week, and we start by focusing every week on something that has value to you. And all the feedback we're getting is great because that enables us to choose, the topics for the next week's session. So if you're watching this part, you're probably watching the replay. So welcome in, everybody. And today we're going to discuss something that will help you, like I said, deal with any life problem. And again, it might seem like a big promise, but I assure you it is not. This is based on law. And the more we work with the law, the better our results become. So welcome, everybody. Let me know that you're here and let me know where you're watching from while I sip my semi-cold decaf coffee. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and if you watched the other week's sessions and videos, let me know what value you have taken away from them. We've gotten a lot of great feedback, not just in the comments, but as a team as well, and it's wonderful that this actually provides value and that you find value in it. So, we work with a lot of people, and we have worked with over 10,000 clients at this point in the international market, in Denmark, and everywhere people want more out of life, and you probably do too. There's something you want more of out of this life, and at the same time there's something that holds you back. Have you ever thought about what that is? What is that thing within you that's sort of pulling you back when you should be giving it everything you've got? There's something in your mind that is actually working against you. Hey, Annette, welcome. Good to see you. And that's what we want to talk about today. What it is and how you can learn to control a certain part of your mind so that you always find solutions to life's problems. Because the truth is, you're not being presented with situations and issues and problems that are bigger than your capacity within yourself to solve them. That might also seem like a big statement because oftentimes we get focused on the situation and we get focused on it so much that it starts to control us. And that's when we've lost the battle. How many times can you recognize that where something happened? I don't know what it was. It could be the divorce, it could be the bankruptcy, it could be the disease or the diagnosis or whatever it is. And we hyper-focus on it to a point where it controls us. And this technique today will help you shift that around. So whatever happens for you and not to you. And that actually creates a state of freedom in your mind, which is wonderful. So, we just did a whole keynote tour in Denmark. We spent time with over 500 beautiful souls in 5 different cities, 100 people at a time. And no matter where we went, people wanted more. There was something they wanted more out of life. And I also recognized that there was a part of a lot of people's minds that held them back. So let's take a look at this from a different perspective. And welcome in, everybody. If you're here, let me know where you're watching from. We're talking about today a principle that will help you deal with any life problem. And it's not an exaggeration. It's based on a natural law. And so the more we lean into the law, the more we work with it, the better results we get. But most people don't. We are literally programmed to work against the law in many situations in our life. And that's why stagnation occurs. And that's why it feels like we're taking a step backwards sometimes. That actually happens because of a transgression of the law, meaning we're not working with the law. So the more we work with these laws, the more smooth of a ride we will have throughout life. And that's a beautiful thing. So welcome, everybody. It's good to have you. And one of the things we have to recognize, and I think we've illustrated this before, but there's energy in us, around us. That is what we're comprised of, nothing but energy. And the thing you want more of is on a certain level of vibration. All these lines are levels of frequency. So right now, let's say you're here and you say, I want to go here. And there's something that blocks you from doing that because you hyper focus on maybe past results, resources, lack of them, or whatever it might be. So right now you're thinking here, and your thinking is producing your results that are right here. Let me know if that makes sense. Hey, Thomas, good to see you. Welcome in. We're talking about the one thing that will enable you to deal with any life's problem, any problem you encounter in your life. So stick around. This is very valuable information. It certainly transformed my life, and I know it will transform yours as well. And so your goal is up here, and it requires you to think from a completely different place. And so the technique that you will learn today, hey, Animated, good to see you. The technique you will learn today will enable you to actually step into that role of the person who's already there. But you see, most people say, I want this, but I can't because. I want that out of life, but I can't because this is not here yet. The resources aren't here, the ideas aren't here, the right people aren't here. Can you recognize that? Can you recognize that pattern in your own life where you say to yourself, I want this, I would like to achieve that, but I can't because. And everything that follows because is something that your mind is caught up in. And out of that comes the problem. Out of that preoccupation with present results, past results, out of that is where all problems rise. So how do we deal with that? How do we actually get to a point where you take conscious control over that and enable and raise your awareness so much that you're able to solve it? Because the truth is, everything is possible right here, right now. Mind Key Coaching. Martin from Denmark says, hey, from Denmark, lean in. This is gold. It is. I love that. I know you know it, what we're talking about here. So it is truly gold. I mean, this can literally set you free from any problem. And people think success is so complicated. It has to be complicated, right? It's not complicated at all. It's actually pretty simple. It's just not easy because your old programming is holding you back from actually executing on this. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you saw a one-sided pancake? And then you go, well, what has that to do with anything, Anders? I'll get back to that. When was the last time you saw a one-sided pancake or a one-sided house? Right? It doesn't exist. Somehow or the other, there's always two sides or more to anything. For anything to exist in this universe, there's always two sides to it. Nothing can exist without two sides. That's the law of polarity. It's one of the 7 primary laws of the universe. And the awareness of these laws dates back, way back to the old Egyptians. And they knew something about success, didn't they? All of that is something I studied, the primary laws, among other things, in a book called The Kybalion, which is really deep. And I've studied it for years now, and it's incredible. And it centers around the primary laws of the universe. But you are actually learning today to utilize one of these laws, one of these success principles to solve any problem in your life. And Ameda says imagination is everything. It absolutely is. It's one of the mental tools that literally sets us free. So back to this idea. First here, it's not a situation problem. It's not a resource problem. If you find yourself saying, I can't, because you are in that trap, recognize you're in the trap. That is the first step. Like my good friend and mentor, Bob Proctor, always said, you cannot escape a prison if you don't know you're in one. What? Exactly. You have to recognize first that you are trapped. By saying that to yourself, I cannot because, that is a mental trap you put up for yourself. The truth is, everything has two sides. If you can focus on why you can't, by the very nature of the law of polarity, you will be able to focus on how you will. So that's a big idea, because if everything has two sides to it, You must be able to look at a situation from multiple angles at the same time. Do you agree? Let me know in the chat if you agree to that. Like, if everything has two sides, you must, by the very nature of this law, be able to watch or look at something from multiple angles at the same time. And now we actually talk about another mental tool called perception, because that's really what it is. Perception is a mental faculty, it's a mental tool that enables you to switch your perception on any situation. Awesome. Thomas agrees, Martin agrees. That's exactly what it is. You're able to, regardless of what you're faced with, to shift your perception on a situation instantly. And the truth is, the moment you become aware of the problem, the solution is there in the same instant. So why is it that we don't see it? Why is it that you don't recognize the solution? Well, that is because you are thinking on two different frequencies. Back to this idea here. So your current situation is right here. You're focused on the problem. The solution is not on that frequency. The solution is up here on a completely different frequency, but they exist at the same time. And you call into your life what you call into your life based on your focus. So if your focus is on the situation and the resource problem, etc., then that's what you get more of. But if you train yourself, and I'll provide a tool today to help you shift that, if you train yourself to switch your perception, you will find a solution. But it never, it is always, see, the problem is people look outside, they look through their senses, and they recognize a problem. And then they think that the solution comes from the same source. It doesn't. The solution is inside. It's in your infinite source of supply. It's by you connecting to a higher side of your personality using your perception. So think of it this way. So your mind, your mental toolbox sits right between pure energy, spirit, and the grossest part of our world, matter. The grossest part is the matter. It's physical matter. Spirit, matter, right in the middle sits your mind. And you can utilize your mind to go to pure energy and download whatever you have to download to solve any problem on the physical plane. Any problem. So why don't we do that? You may ask. Why don't we do that? We don't do that because we are programmed to go to the physical first instead of the spiritual. That's really the problem. So it's not a resource problem. It's not a situation problem. It is a perception problem. And everything happens when you shift your perception. I spent 20 years in the entertainment industry, and I kept asking myself, why did I do this? It was hard work. It didn't make sense. And I felt sorry for myself in the end. You know how that goes, the old victim mentality. But when I decided what I wanted out of life, I realized I shifted my perception on my 20 years of doing this, realizing I just prepared myself for something even greater. When I was really sick, I'm really sick to a point where a doctor said, you're probably not going to recover. You probably need these drugs for the rest of your life. How can you consider that a win, right? But I actually recognized pretty quickly that it was, because I learned a lot in that process. And some of the hardest moments in my life was also the ones that propelled me forward the most and enabled me to learn the most. And the same with you. So just shifting your perception in those situations enables you to find the gold in them. And there's a lot of great gifts we're being given in ugly wrappings all the time. But if you focus on the ugly wrapping, guess what you're getting more of? Yes, you're right. Ugly wrappings. Oh, I always have this, and this always happens to me, and it's always like this. Well, what if you change your perception and you ask yourself this question: what is it that I'm programmed not to see here? What is the illusion? And speaking of illusion, I've been working on a new one, and we'll see if we have time for it today. But anyways, I'll come back to that, maybe. What is the illusion here? What is it that I'm programmed not to see? Because now you're not questioning the situation anymore. What are you questioning? You're questioning your perception. Let me know if this resonates. We need to stop questioning the resources, stop questioning the situation, stop questioning the diagnoses and all the terrible things that happen, and start questioning your perception of the situation. It is not a resource problem. It's not a money problem. It is not a situation problem. It is what? It is a perception problem. Everything is already here. It's available to you. So why don't you have it, you ask? We don't have it in our life because we're blocked off from it. I just spoke to a wonderful lady here, literally just an hour ago. Her life purpose was staring her in the face for a long time. She couldn't see it though, because her perception was on her and not her life purpose. It took her grandson, a little kid, to show her something that caused something in her to shift, combined with my dialogue with her, and all of a sudden, everything shifted. Now she saw what she hadn't seen for so long, even though it was right there. What was missing? Her awareness of it, her perception of it. It resonates, says Thomas. Great. I love that. So everything is available to you. All the resources, all the ideas, all the insights, all the triumphs, everything that you want is already here. And so, when you actively go for this and you keep asking yourself, what is the illusion here? What is it that I'm programmed not to see? You'll start finding gold, literally, right on your doorstep. You'll realize that all the bad things that happened in the past were all necessary. They were all an essential piece of the puzzle to bring you to where you are. I've had business leaders, people in our community, clients who were faced with what they thought were insurmountable problems, but they realized they were actually amazing gifts in disguise because they learned how to switch their perception around to see something they didn't see before. And so you and I can do this. We can do it often, and we should do it often. Instead of getting hyper-focused on resources, let's focus on our perception of it. It's never a resource problem. It's a perception problem. Come back to that law always. Anytime you have a challenge, realize there's two sides to everything. One thing you can do is bring another person in and have them look at the situation. And think about it. Like let's say you think you have a money problem. You really don't. You have a mindset problem, but let's leave that for another video. Let's say you think you have a money problem. You're missing, you need, I don't know, 50,000 and they're missing. How do you think Elon Musk would look at that problem? How do you think, if you brought his consciousness into the picture and ask yourself, how would Elon Musk think about this? Would he think of $50,000 as a lot? Probably not. Now you're bringing perception in. Truth is, nothing is big or small or this or that. It's all relative to something else. And that's another primary law of the universe we can save for another video one of these days. And Amanda says, we don't have to understand it to do it. Just do it, and then you understand. Honest is the best mentor ever. Pride, heart, rainbow, Philly. I love that. So good. Oh, yeah, I see. So the emojis show up as words. Okay, I get it. I appreciate you, Animated. Thank you so much. I'm just a regular guy that lost everything in his life and won a lot of it back and more, and it felt like I stumbled over a treasure when I attracted Bob Proctor into my life back then. And after he and I created a program together, I know I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And it's amazing to me how many people are so stuck because they don't understand themselves. It's really an awareness problem of themselves and what they're capable of. And with this technique, you will, and it might again seem like an exaggeration to you today, but it's not. You will be able to solve any problem. So when you shift your perception, you start realizing that you have infinite supply accessible to you right at your doorstep. It's not a situation problem. It is a perception problem. And actually, I mentioned this thing this illusion that I used in Denmark for our keynotes. And I've been practicing it a little bit here on the side. Let me know in the chat if you'd love to wrap up with that. Two sides to everything. Puzzle of life. You ready? Let's see if I can switch the camera here. I think that works somewhat. You see it? Okay, good. Good. I think that works. Let me know in the chat if this works. So This is the puzzle of life. You are it's faced with a lot of different situations, a lot of different pieces to the puzzle, and they all fit within this frame. All right? We'll hang that here for now. So all these pieces represents life situations. So you have your successes, you have your failures, triumphs, and everything in between. Everything that makes up your life the way it is. Your business, your job, everything sort of fits together. You know, we've learned to make things fit together in a perfect harmony, and everything is fine. Everything is just okay. In life's puzzle, as you can tell, it all fits. Until, and this is when it gets really interesting, until that happens. And you go, oh, snap. That I didn't realize, I didn't expect it. It was, what does that piece represent to you? Is it the failure in your business? Is it did you lose your job? Is it the divorce? Is it the illness? What does this piece represent to you? And most people, they try and fit it into life's puzzle, but it doesn't really work, does it? It sort of sticks out. And oh my gosh, we can try and use the ostrich technique, you know, just ignoring ourselves out of the problems. That won't work because it's still here. And we see it's there. And we recognize that no matter how we look at it, it still occupies a lot of space in our consciousness until you start using that question. What is it that I'm programmed not to see here? And as you do that, everything sort of starts to shift because you realize it's not a situation problem. It's not a resource problem. It is a perception problem in your mind. And as you start switching your perception, you will see all of these pieces fitting together again in a beautiful, wonderful harmony. Well, then we think things go great. We solved the problem. We're coasting along and everything is fine again until that happens. And you go, oh my gosh, it's a bigger problem now. It's a bigger issue than before. But like we talked about, you're never presented with situations in life that are larger than your capacity to solve them. If you're still here on the physical plane, that means the power within you is stronger than anything and everything you're being met with. And when you utilize that mental tool called perception and ask yourself, what is it that I'm programmed not to see here? What is the illusion? You realize it was never a situation problem. It was always a perception problem. And that really enables you to live life in a magical way where all pieces continue to fit together. And if you ask me, that is real magic. So perception is the key to solve all life problems for you. Stay with it. Watch these videos numerous times until the idea really sinks in and it becomes automatic for you to ask yourself in any situation, what is it that I'm programmed not to see here? And when you do that, you have actively taken control of your mind and the situation. It is no longer the situation that controls you. You control the situation. All right. I hope this serves you. I can't wait to see you again next week, Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central European Time, and sometime later over in Far Asia. All right, same time, same place next week. It's not who you are that holds you back from anything you want in your life. What's holding most people back are all those pesky illusions about who we think we're not. Bye for now.